Watch what's approaching, the supreme moment. Reality striking closer than it seems, don't it? Go ahead, it's for the taking if you want it. If not, the dream dies and you'll be forever haunted. Then confront it.
What's good? We back at it again with the Kaioken mechanic testing. I had planned on doing this for the 2 EZA units a while back since it was kind of speculated it would happen. Now that it did, I finished the grind and we'll go ahead and see how things are. This Vegeta and Trunks unit does have the ability to raise both attack and defense, so you'll see an influx there. The Goku and Gohan unit, unfortunately, it's only going to be the defense that you're able to stack. And then, of course, I did include the Krillin unit as well, defense ability to stack it, so we're going to go ahead and test how he does. And then, of course, you've already seen this on my channel, but we're going to go ahead and include this guy as well because he does have the ability to stack his defense. So a lot of units within this kind of video format, just wanted to include as many as possible. For this time around, I actually did keep track of the amount of turns, so I did leave kind of a tracker on the left so you'd be able to see how many turns have already passed and what kind of impact you would see on those units. Now back to the Super Agility LR Super Saiyan 2 Gohan unit. I did do a video on this guy already, so he's going to be in the off rotation a little bit throughout the video, but if you want to see a Kaioken mechanic test just for that unit, definitely check the pinned comment because I will provide a link for that, and you'll be able to see the impact on that guy. So of course, second turn, I kind of wanted to show how things were initially for the first couple of turns and then kind of skip to much later parts of the testing. That way you'll, instead of going through it slowly, we'll be able to see like a progressive impact on how the attack and defense will increase. So after 4 turns, you do get a decent enough increase, and then over time you're going to see how ridiculous those numbers can actually get to. So in all honesty, both of these units are pretty nice. As a free-to-play option, they're definitely very good, and the grind itself is a little bit of an issue. I understand that it can be a little bit of a pain because you do have to have very limited units available that you can include on the team, and if you didn't grind them out, it is a little bit of a problem. So I perfectly understand that. Luckily, I had pretty much all the units I needed, and the thing about it is it reminded me a little bit of the LR Goku Prime Battle grind back in the day. And if I'm being honest, it's not as difficult as that was because the LR Goku grind back then, it really did require you use like all of the available items that you had. So it did kind of remind me a little bit of that to a certain degree, but luckily it didn't take too long. I think I grinded things out last night after getting off of work, so didn't have time to do the actual testing until today. So here we are and seeing how things are. So again, 6 turns have passed at this point, and then I think the next one is like we jumped around a little bit when I was editing, so we'll find out. But Krillin also is a very nice free-to-play unit. Of course, it is the ones you get from the Battlefield medals, and he's a solid unit in my opinion on the Androids and Cell Saga category team. So we're on turn number 20, and you can see well over 200,000 in defensive stats. Vegeta and Trunks has attack stats of over 300,000. So definitely making a hell of a difference already at this point. And we've still got 79 turns left over until the restriction applies, because for those that are still kind of new to this, you do have it's infinite to a certain degree, but the way this works in the game is after 99 turns, you pretty much don't have the ability to stack attack and defense. So even though it's kind of infinite, it's not really at the same time, I guess, if that makes sense. But overall, it's a lot of fun, and I love running these types of tests because, especially for those units that aren't that great or not that crazy in terms of damage output for attack stats or whatever, but since I do have the built-in mechanic to raise attack and defense, things get kind of crazy, and I love seeing that type of stuff. Yeah, so you can see the defensive and attack stats for those that apply, pretty crazy. 710,000 for Vegeta in terms of attack stats, and defensive stats, I think we're quickly approaching 500,000 for the EZA units, and LR Gohan, I believe, already has 1 million in defense stats at this point already. So, yeah, I mean, we kind of skipped around, went from 20 to 50, but, you know, it's a slow progression. And I kind of like to highlight, you know, bits and pieces of it. That way you can pretty much see the entire change or impact throughout the whole setting. So, again, the EZA Goku and Gohan unit, very nice unit in terms of the skill sets provided. This unit actually does give Goku family category allies Ki +2 and attack and defense increase of 30%. And this card does also fall into the requirement for the LR Gohan as well as the upcoming Strength Super Saiyan 2 Gohan's EZA in terms of the passive skill requirement of having a Super Saiyan Goku unit on the rotation, so it definitely does fulfill that. On top of that, pretty decent boost overall to Goku's family category allies, so definitely nice there. So it looks like, what, after 70 turns, 4 million in terms of damage output. I can't remember what it was for the attack stats themselves, but yeah, pretty nice overall. And you know, the numbers can fluctuate in this battle setting or event setting because both Rose and Zamasu, their super attacks do lower defense, so the numbers can kind of fluctuate a little bit in terms of the defensive stats, but you know, in the long run, it's going to continuously increase. So that's pretty much a key takeaway for that. Alright, so after 80 turns, let's see how things are. 1 million attack stats, 870,000 defense. Looks like, yeah, pretty much all three guys have over 800,000 in terms of the defensive stats, so very nice. And luckily, at least one of the units does have the ability to, you know, stack the attack stats as well. So, you know, 1.4 million potential right now, and then up to about 2.2 million. And of course, this all depends on the ability to get the additional supers in, because obviously the more additional supers you have, the higher you can actually raise those, either attack or defense. So it really also does depend on luck. For the Goku Gohan unit, I did give them a little bit, not a little bit, but much higher focus on additional attacks. I mainly pretty much had them in mind as more or less on the support side than the offense, so I did focus a little bit more on additional supers there. But you know, it's nice to also be able to see Krillin actually have a very decent card, and it's about damn time in my opinion, but I'm glad they did it regardless. So yeah, I mean, you can see the stats. I'm not going to break it down one by one, but yeah, it's pretty impressive so far. But again, this is after 90 turns, so this isn't something you would normally see on a realistic, normal type of battle, but it is always fun to test things out and see how, you know, the numbers that can actually inflate up to. So that's really the whole point. And like I said, ever since these guys came out, even before the EZA versions, I had planned on doing both of these guys together at the same video because, of course, you know, why the hell not? But once there were conversations about speculative Extreme Z Awakenings happening for both units, I decided to hold off on this until it actually happened. And then after it happened, you know, I was like, let's go ahead and do this. So yeah, I mean, 1 million in defensive stats for Goku Gohan, so that's pretty impressive there. And then Vegeta and Trunks, of course, they do have very nice defensive stats, but also the attack stats are very high as well. So it looks like this is after 94 turns on this one. And barely taking much damage. Of course, for the Zamasu unit, a couple of these units do have the ability to lower attack, so of course he's not going to be able to hit as much because of the continued bombardment of supers. But either way, even if he didn't have that, these guys would take very, very little damage, honestly, because their defensive stats are so high at this point. I do like this rotation a lot. It's a lot of fun to see this with all of these guys like Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, Trunks, and Krillin. You know, and finally, like I said, Krillin has a pretty decent unit out now. So and he's just a little short of 1 million in terms of the defense, stats. In terms of total turns, looks like at this point it's 98. So we're at that point where you can no longer stack the attack or defense. So we got as much in as possible at this point, and it's looking very nice right now. And of course, to finish out the battle, we're going to basically utilize the active skills for both the units and use the exchange function, I guess you can say, and see how the units actually perform after the exchange active skills are used. So we'll see that here in a second. Alright, so this is 100 total turns, and we've got pretty much all the units I wanted on one rotation. In terms of the defensive stats, looking pretty nice right here, and we'll see how things are, honestly. So we'll go ahead and get these guys first, and then also allow for the Vegeta Trunks unit to exchange into Super Trunks and see how things are. So of course the stats will change a little bit because their passive skills and super attack abilities change as well. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of difference that makes after we've concluded stacking pretty much everything, because as you can see, Trunks, I expect a pretty decent influx toward the attack or firepower itself, because you do get a 140% boost to both attack and defense. But we'll see how things are here. And we'll go ahead and use the items because we might as well, let's boost that up as much as possible and see how things are. Yeah, this is pretty much the last turn you'll see on this video. So again, I love running these types of tests, so hopefully you guys do too. It seems like, based on feedback I've seen, you guys really love this series as well, and I definitely do plan on keeping this going, because honestly, yes, it does take time, but it's a lot of fun to do this, especially being able to see the numbers you're able to see, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's a lot of fun, so hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see how these two guys do with the exchange active skill initiated, and see how they do overall. So we'll start off with Gohan and then conclude with the Trunks unit. So again, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. As always, I do appreciate you guys checking it out. Definitely stay tuned for the next one coming up. I'm sure I'll have plenty of content I gotta catch up on anyway. Alright, I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.